Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time for the TNA Event Center report. And now here's the man to give you all the total non-stop action and impactful report, Mr. Eric M. Lima.
Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode. Shenanigans, 1977, episode 2628 of the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's episode of Press Your Luck. Thank you for your patience, everyone. My computer has not been cooperating with me all day until recently. It's been, it's like our computer's been like the teenager does not want to get up for school today. You know what I mean? You feel like time to get up. I don't want to go to school today. All the boys make fun of me. That type of deal. But however, though, thank you guys for tuning in. Now, I usually do a TNA Event Center report, which I'm doing right now. But the only difference is there were no matches that were on the card. There was no. I think they were doing the best of the Bound for Glory. This one's the Bound for Glory Fade to Black. It's about the behind the scenes. What goes behind the scenes, of Fade to Black. You're talking about the TNA talent about behind, about being behind the scenes, what the event means to them, like the beautiful people talking about what being in the TNA Hall of Fame means to them, and how they appreciate and what they think of the current product of TNA. Same thing with Mickie James, which I think was great, and seeing Victoria, aka Lisa Marie Varon, which we had the honor of at Rant and Rave to interview, even though it was marred by stuff on the live chat on Ranniversary 3. We're not going to get into that, but nevertheless, they say what this means. What means to them, and what Victoria inducting Mickie James and into the TNA Hall of Fame. You had Tommy Dreamer inducting the beautiful people, and they had a little fun with Tommy Dreamer putting a paper bag on his head. And, they all laugh and joke around. Also, they also ended up talking about what it means for the seeing Chris Bay back in the capacity of telling people how many people attended Bound for Glory, which is the largest attendance record, over 7,700 people. Seeing Chris Bay back, a lot of people, he got an ovation, got some love, and even though his partners now is with Ace Austin's now with AEW, and it seems to me that Chris Bay, he is recuperating, and I think when he comes back, he's going to add a lot more to the X division. That's what I'm thinking too. And then you got Casey Navarro, torn ACL. He'll be back. I like the fact he like one of my tweets and said, "Pardon me," and AJ Francis, he cracked me up. I'll never kick anybody out of first class. Pardon me. That would be Casey Navarro. You got to be totally dumb to not to lie about that. But anyways, might I digress? No, Casey Navarro and Chris Bay, when they do come back to the ring, I'm sure they're gonna make the X division a whole lot better. And right now, Leon Slater is carrying a load of that X division, and then you got Eddie Edwards and his wife Alicia talking about returning home for Bound for Glory. It took place in Lowell, Massachusetts. I had the honor of having my picture taken with the Edwardses, and Eddie and Alicia. Like I said, I had my picture taken with Alicia before when she was wrestling in Top Rope Promotions by way of South Coast Championship Wrestling and Yankee Pro Wrestling, which she was known as Lexus back in the day. And she's grown, she's done her thing. She had her own catchphrase, her own T-shirt. You want to know something? Yeah, I do want to know this. That to see the Edwards is back. Very excited about having to wrestle state. I thought it was really cool. Eddie Edwards was a cool dude. I'm glad he's a Sox fan, Celtics fan. Hey, you know what? It's all good. Alicia Edwards grew up in this city in New Bedford, so it was an honor to see her and frozen again. What the heck is going on? I am frozen. I do apologize if I don't know. My computer, like I said, my computer has been like a lazy teenager all day. Let me tell you, but it did work between rant and rave. The upside of it is my internet did not, Wi-Fi did not get knocked out, so that's a good thing. So it's been like that all day. So Eddie Edwards and Alicia were talking about the return of Mass Homecoming, and then you got Bully Ray, Devon, the Hardys. They were talking about their matchup, final table match. It was for both the NXT TNA titles. I'm sad that the Dudleys did not win the titles to retire out as champions on top, but if they could add more legacy to the NXT Tag Team Championships. You're talking about the Hardys have added, and the New Day have added. The New Day became Triple Crown champions. One of the longest reigning tag team champs until Too bad the Usos did not come back and try to win those belts, and they're going to be NXT Tag Team Champs and added to their already awesome legacy. And instant classics. So, but just to see those two teams battle it out for the final, for the final time, it was an intense thing. And I think the most beautiful part of that was, usually when a wrestler retires, they untie their boots and leave them in the middle of the ring and walk out without them. That's a signal of them retiring. The Dudleys did it with the ultimate gesture, which I thought that was super cool. Was they took off their boots and handed it to the Hardys. It's like they're passing the torch, so to speak, which is I think is a cool moment. And I think the Hardys, being NXT Tag Team Champions, will also help other tag teams in NXT rise up and say, "Hey, we need to do this," and could shake up the tag team right now, the tag team division, as we shifted over to SmackDown, which is even crazy. So, as far as the power goes, so NXT second and Raw third in that department. But we shall see what happens. When the Hardys take on Dark State for the NXT tag team titles in a broken rules matchup. So it'll be very interesting to see how Matt and Jeff Hardy handle that, and how Dark State will handle the broken rules situation. So, but see, like I said, Team 3D, Hardys, one last time, and hey, there you go. You got the Hardy symbol. You got the Dudleys and the Hardy symbol right here. Dudleys with a 3, and Hardys with that or the V1, So it's crazy. Anyway, so a lot of love to them, and then you got Mike Santana. This young man has gone through a tough journey. He had a falling out with Ortiz, and Mike Santana wanted to come back to the company that helped him in his career. That would be TNA. He came back after being part of AEW for a while. He worked his butt off. Mike Santana, he got respect. He got amazing Red mentoring him. You got Conan mentoring him and all that. But in the end, though, he finally did it. They did showcase some of the Bound for Glory matches of. He's worked very hard, and he finally got the title. He's now the champ, and he presented it to his daughter, which I thought was a lovely thing to do. Also, another matchup I forgot to add up, I'll tell you, because they did talk about this, the international title between Steve Maclin and Frankie Kazarian. They discuss how much this match means to them, and in like Steve Maclin serving our country, he's serving our country. So a salute to Steve Maclin, and a salute to Frankie Kazarian. These two fought it out, and even though Maclin did retain the title, and that will be Maclin retained the title. Now going forward, it's going to be an interesting situation to say the least. Just forgive me here. I'm trying to write stuff down because I got one more page left on this page, and I will. There we go. Okay, and it will be the 25th. Oh, wait. Okay. 2025. Yeah, so So we got that. Like I said, Mike Santana, going back to that situation. Mike Santana, I can put this right now. I'm all set with it. Mike Santana, he worked hard. He deserves this championship. And seeing, Trick Williams showing some class backstage, say, hey, you deserve it, and I'm sure Trick Williams, you may, people may hate his on-screen persona, but if you go backstage behind the cameras, you see he's very classy about it. He probably knows and understands how long Mike Santana has worked for this, and he finally won it. And Trick Williams does celebrate with him on that, which is really, really classy of him to do so. So you gotta respect that. So I think it's really awesome to do. Yeah. So it's like a behind the scenes, behind the scenes they showcase the pay-per-view matches, and they showed like some of the old school TNA matches that they have, like X Division matches, Ultimate X matches and whatnot. So now let's see how Leon Slater handles the X Division now that he's a champ. Right now he's joined, like I said, he's joined forces with Javon Evans, which was a heck of a match until Dark State ruined it. So I would not be surprised if Javon Evans and Leon Slater back up the Hardys in Dark State. Who knows for sure? But we'll find out on Halloween Havoc this coming Saturday as Leon Slater and Javon Evans take on Mr. Iguana and La Parca. Well, here's the fun part. This matchup will be contested under 3 different brands. You got Javon Evans representing the WWE/NXT. You got Leon Slater representing TNA, and Mr. Iguana and La Parca representing AAA. So I thought that was pretty cool. So we've done Rant and Rave, we've done this, and it's all the time we have on this episode of the show. And tomorrow we're going to play the game of I'm going to play the game of strategy, luck, knowledge, and daring. Bullseye. That's right. And as you know, next week, it's going to be a week from tomorrow is Halloween, but I'm not going to dress up this year. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to try to get a special, a very special thumbnail where I'm going to make this thing a Halloween tradition where I'm going to go through 10 rounds with each 3 game shows. No pilot versions. I'm going to do all syndicated versions. Okay. The Barry Enright bonus rounds, like I always do. I'm trying to do this every year, every Halloween. I don't necessarily have to dress up. I'm going to do this myself and just have some fun with it. I think I can have some fun without necessarily dressing up for Halloween, but I'm going to do that next week for Rant and Rave only. So that's what we need to think. Because it's hard to do impressions of characters and try to play the games, bonus rounds, especially with wearing that gorilla mask. It gets really ridiculous. But however, though, what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do, I'm going to continue the tradition of playing each of the 3 bonus rounds 10 times, 10 rounds each, and add them up to see how I do. So, but it will be now called the Barry and Enright Battle Gauntlet. That's what I'm going to call it. The Barry and Enright Battle Gauntlet. I'm going to try to make some new thumbnails with that. I have some ideas in my head. I'm going to use AI stuff because I already get. Some people will put AI pics of me and they gave me some great ideas. I can deal with it and all. But however though, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you on the next episode. That'll be tomorrow. I play some Bullseye. I hope you guys will join. Hopefully, I think my computer will be cooperating perfectly tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Okay? Knock on wood. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Good night, everybody. And until next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home.
That is all for today's episode of the show. This is Mr. Announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E and do it for Bob Saget production, and in association with a Raving Bull for 3000 Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. See you later on the next episode of the show. Goodbye for now.